Hello everyone, welcome to Sarah's Stitchery. My name is Sarah and this is my channel where I talk all about my cross stitch journey, so welcome. Today's date is July 5th and I'm so excited you're here with me today because I am going to be sharing my WIP parade with you today, my mid-year WIP parade. If you're new to the Flosstube community, WIP stands for Work in Progress. So I'm going to show you all of the things that I currently have in progress. I'll give you a heads up right off the bat. I have 54 WIPs, which is the lowest number I've had in quite a long time, and I'll explain why some of that is here in a little bit. But I'm thinking because WIP parades are a chance for a lot of new people to find you that may not have watched your channel before, I thought I would do just a little brief introduction for those of you who are joining me for the first time. As I mentioned, my name is Sarah. I live in southwestern Ohio, about 40 minutes north of downtown Cincinnati. I am a fourth grade teacher. My husband's a teacher as well. He teaches high school, and we have 3 grown children who 2 currently live with us right now. My youngest is finishing up college, and yeah, I enjoy having them here. So I have 2 lovely, adorable little pups named Daisy and Lily. So sometimes they make a little appearance on my channel. And obviously, I love to cross stitch. Cross stitching is my very favorite thing. I've been stitching since I was a little girl. My mom taught me when I was around like 9 years old. And I've stitched all my life off and on. I stitched stockings for my children when they were little babies. And like I said, I've been stitching off and on for my whole life, but I really got back into it. I want to say like 2019. I guess it's like around the time when, you know, my kids were growing up and graduating high school, and I wasn't as needed anymore. So, which is fine. I'm entering a new phase of life. And so I found myself with more time. And of course, when the pandemic hit, we all had more time, right? So, the WIPs I'm going to show you today date back from 2020, because prior to 2020 I was a monogamous stitcher. I didn't know that people stitched more than one thing at a time. Then I found Flosstube, and wow. So yeah, so the oldest WIPs that I have in my collection are from 2021 up to the present. So yeah, I'll be showing those to you today. A couple things about me as a stitcher. I stitch in hand. And I primarily stitch on 40 count fabric. I do have several 46 count fabrics, and I prefer to stitch with 1 strand, which has caused me to have several restarts in my collection. I actually didn't start stitching on linen until probably 2021. You know, I had stitched on Aida my whole entire life, and so for me, trying linen was kind of a scary thing. You know, when you've been doing something a certain way your entire life, you feel like maybe, you know, you can't do something new. But I did try linen. I loved it. You know, I started off with like 28 counts, 32 counts. I was very, very intimidated to try like a 36 or a 40. But I was very pleasantly surprised to find that it was something I could do. And so I've really been excited to stitch on linen the last few years because it's new. It's new to me. So I love it so much, and I love stitching with 1 strand. So all of the projects I'm going to show you today, with the exception of a couple, are stitched with 1 strand. Pardon me. If it is stitched with 2 strands, I will tell you. Otherwise, just assume it's stitched with 1 strand. I am going to give you the details on fabric. I think I know all of the fabrics except for maybe 2. And I can give you the details on floss. I'm not going to go into detail of like what each floss is, but I can tell you whether I'm stitching with the called for, or if I've substituted a few colors in, that type of thing. I am going to try to make this video very streamlined, so it's not a really long video. So I already have everything out of their project bags, ironed and in piles according to the year that they were started. And that's the organization I'm going with. I'm going to start with my 2021 WIPs and work my way up to 2025. So my oldest WIPs up to my newest WIPs. Other than being organized within the year they were started, there's no other organization. I don't have them organized by the month and day that they were started or by like season. I just put them in stacks by year, and whatever order they fell in that stack, that's how I'm showing it. What was something else I was going to tell you? So I mentioned at the top of the video here that my WIP count is down quite a bit. That's for a couple of reasons. One, I've been finishing a lot of things in the last couple of years. And two, I have UFO'd a few things. When I say UFO stands for unfinished object. And so I have taken a close look at my WIPs and decided which ones just aren't bringing me happiness or joy anymore for whatever reason. Usually the reason is I don't like the fabric I'm stitching on. You know, I feel like my fabric tastes have changed over the last few years as far as like count, color. I feel like I'm becoming a little more adventurous with my color. And so I really like experimenting with those types of things. And so if it was on a fabric that I wasn't enjoying, it was gone. I am a top left starter usually. And that's for the purpose of if I do decide to abandon a project, then I didn't start in the middle and I'm not wasting a whole piece of fabric. I just started up in the corner, and if it's something that has few enough stitches in it, I'll unpick it and reuse the fabric. If it's not, I'll just cut off that corner and I haven't wasted a whole piece of fabric. For that reason, I also don't cut my fabrics, most of them. I don't cut my fabric until I'm done with something usually. So that might be scandalous to some, but it's how I do things. So it's what makes me happy. So yeah, like I said, I have everything out, ready to go. I am going to take the time to put things back in bags because I do, like I said, I do have a lot of WIPs here. And I don't want to get myself unorganized as I go. But I think it's time to just dive right in. So let's do this. I'm starting with 2021. And at the top of my pile here, I have my Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. So many people are stitching this, have stitched this. It's one of my favorites. It's by Carriage House Samplings. I love it so much. I'll get in a little closer. You can see there's different blocks with different pictures. I started, like I said, up in the top left, and I'm working my way across. I don't have much work done. I will say too, before I show any of these, like I mentioned before, I'm a teacher, so I'm off all summer. My husband and I didn't end up going anywhere for vacation this year. He had surgery. I talked about it in my last couple of videos. So I've had a lot of stitching time, which I'm not mad about. So over the last couple of weeks, I knew that I was going to be filming this WIP parade. And so I decided to pull out all of my WIPs and put some stitches in almost all of them. There are a few I didn't get to, but I did get to touch almost all of my WIPs, and it was really fun, and it has really kind of reignited my excitement for these. And so Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow was one of those. So let me show you what I have. There we are. So I'm working in the second block here, and I was working down here on this tombstone, and I love this so much. I love seeing other people's progress. It makes me want to get mine out and work on it. I am stitching this on a 40 count by Mystic Fabric called Veteris. I think that's how you say it. And I'm stitching it with all of the called for DMCs. So that's where I'm at. But like I said, I had so much fun working on this that I definitely want to get back to it. I loved that first block. I love those ghosts and that little skeleton. I did not enjoy stitching that spider web. I don't like backstitch. I do it if I have to, not something I prefer. So that was Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. That's one of those ones that I just need to work on it. And here are all of the called for DMC. There's a lot of them, so many. All right, WIP number 1, done and done. Oh no, my zipper pull just fell off. Oh, I can show you my bags too as I go along if you don't mind. I love seeing bags on WIP parades. Here is a bag that I got from Michelle Lee Quilts. Michelle is a good friend of mine. I love her bags. You're gonna see quite a few of those in my video. Oh, here's the back of it. So pretty. Okay, next, speaking of things that I have restarted, this is a restart. I have shown it recently on my video. Here's the pattern. It's from Owl Forest Embroidery, called 100 Owls. This is a free pattern that you can get on Owl Forest Embroidery. I love it. And so this one actually has been restarted for a third time. I saw Hillary from Subpar Stitches at StitchCon, and she told me that if I restart this one more time, she's gonna set herself on fire. So I'm glad I'm having that effect on you, Hillary. So I had started this back in 2021 on a 32 count fabric, and stitching with 2 strands. Like I mentioned, I don't really care for stitching with 2 strands. And so I restarted this, I think it was last year. And this was my restart. This is 40 count Pistachio by Atomic Ranch. And then I pulled this back out recently. I was like, oh, I'm just not really digging those Owl Forest flosses. Now, I love a good variegated floss, but this fabric is very mottled, and I just thought it was a little too busy for my taste. It looks great, but I was just like, you know what? I want to see what the DMC would look like. So I did pull the called for DMC. There were a couple that I thought were a little, so I just changed them to colors that I thought looked better. But here is my third restart. And I like this a lot better. That modeling is like really standing out in the video. It's not as stark in real life. So yeah, what do you think? This was the Owl Forest variegated flosses. This is the DMC. I really like the DMC. I feel like that owl just like stands out way more. So I'm gonna stick with the DMC colors, and I'm gonna keep stitching this. I really love it. So that's another one of those restarts. And that's just, I do that often. If I'm just not digging how something's looking, I'm going to restart it. And it makes me happy, so. A lot of people have told me, no way, why would you waste all that time? But it's my time I'm wasting, so whatever. So I'm keeping this, let me stick this back in here. I'm keeping this in a bag made by Painted Leaf Co., which is my mother's Etsy shop. She makes beautiful bags. She used to make vinyl front bags. She does not anymore. She makes the full fabric ones. But this is one of her earlier bags. I love this fabric. Of course, I had to put the 100 owls in the owl bag. So yes, her company is called Painted Leaf Co. Go check her out on Etsy and Instagram. All of the bag makers that I showed today, I will link their shops down below. Okay, next, another restart. I've shown this one recently too. This one is actually my oldest WIP. So I started this at my very first StitchCon in 2021. This was a Mother's Day gift from my children. This is Lindy Stitches. It's called Tread Softly. I love the saying. It says, but I being poor have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly because you tread on my dreams. I love that so much. So I had started it on a 32 count, wasn't loving it, so I decided to start it again. And I said, you know what? Let's just try a fun fabric. And so that's what I did. Here it is. This fabric is 40 count, A Little Sassy by Bee Stitch Me. And that is my restart. I have gotten so much progress on this since I restarted it. I love it so much. Again, the modeling is showing up like way more starkly on camera than it does in real life. Like that's like really in your face. It's a little more muted than that in real life. I'm trying out a new light today. I usually use my ring light, and I find that it makes kind of a weird shadow. And my daughter has these like, oh, what kind of lights are these? I don't know. I set them both up, and they were like really too bright. So I only have one on. I don't know. I don't know if I love it or not, but you know, here we are. So I am using all of the called for colors. There are some dinky dyes. Here's the color palette, by the way. There's some dinky dyes. There are some DMC. Oh, I did add in a color in cotton in the color Azure. For this star. The star is charted in like a white, but you couldn't see it on the fabric, so I changed it, and I like it. So I'm very happy with my restart of that one, and I'm gonna keep going on it. I am actually keeping this one in a bag that I made way back in the day. Let me show it to you. I made it specifically for this project. Here it is. It's a vinyl front. And there's my bag. I made that. I'm an okay sewist. I'm mostly self-taught, but I just don't have the patience to make project bags, so I'd rather just buy them from people who are really good at making them. Okay, and it doesn't hurt that I have family members who make beautiful bags. So my next one is called Stars Bright. This is another Lindy Stitches. I love this one as well. It says, we would be together and have our books, and at night be warm in our bed together with the windows open and the stars bright. Oh, I think this is so beautiful. And I'm pretty sure, no, I'm not. I was gonna say this is my first 40 count, but I think it was my second 40 count. I bought this fabric when I was at StitchCon. I think I bought the pattern when I was at StitchCon too, my first StitchCon. And I was like, oh, I wanna stitch this on a 40 count, and I wanna stitch it on like a really bright fabric. And so I chose this. This is a Jody fabric, Jody from the Steel City Stitchers. She used to dye fabrics. I don't know if she does anymore, but this was one of her cuts of fabric that I got from Steel City. I feel like the colors are just coming out not great with this light. I may pause and turn that light off and see how it looks, but let me show you this first. So I had showed this a while back, probably in another WIP parade, and a viewer had pointed out that the fabric is not cut straight. So you can see I've got plenty of margin up here, but as we go down, the margin gets smaller and smaller. So I was a little alarmed about that. So I did go ahead and come down and bring it all the way down. So from here, it'll go across, and it gives me almost 1.5 inches of margin. So even though that's a lot smaller than what I'm comfortable with, I'm gonna go with it. I think it'll be okay. So I am using all of the called for colors for this, which is some DMC, some Weeks Dye Works, some Classic Color Works, with a couple of color substitutions of my own for colors that just were not showing up on the fabric. So very colorful, very bright. I'll show you my last 2021 WIP, and then I'm gonna pause and turn off that light and see how that works. Because these colors are great. I want you to be able to see how pretty they are. Okay, so I keep this in another Painted Leaf Co. bag, one of her vinyl front originals. Put this back in here first. I love this one. It's very quirky, which is why I put the Lindy Stitches pattern in there, because I love how quirky Steph's patterns are. Look at this. Kitties on bicycles. Very cute. Okay, and then my last 2021 start is also a restart. This was my birthday sal in 2021. Hello. The Moonlight Sampler by The Blue Flower. I was originally going to stitch this whole thing. The fabric I had started on was a 40 count, but it was way too light. The little white flowers up here and the white on the owl were just not standing out. And so I decided to change my fabric, but I also decided I didn't want to stitch this whole thing. So in the pattern, there is a smaller pattern, there's a smaller pattern that you can stitch of just the alphabet with the little animals. And I decided that's what I wanted to do. And so I did restart this. What is this fabric? It is 40 count Queen Crepe Myrtle by Fiberlicious. I love it so much, and I'm really enjoying this stitch. I love stitching animals, so I had a lot of fun. I love the, I'm guessing that's a badger, or maybe it's not a badger. I don't know. I love stitching animals. I don't know what they are, but I love stitching them. The sloth, he's too cute, and the bat. Love it. I am thinking though that maybe instead of stitching the border around it, just stitching this and framing it. That would be so cute. Oh, I can't wait to stitch the little possum with the babies. Adorable. So those are my 2021 WIPs. I don't have a lot from 2021, just those 5. But as you can see, as we go along, got more. Because 2021 was the year that I realized that I could stitch on more than one project. I am keeping this in a bag from Vintage Owl Lady on Instagram. She's also on, well, her shop's on Etsy. She's on Instagram as well. With this Tula pink fabric with the kitties. So cute. Okay, so that's it for 2021. I'm going to pause real quick, turn off that light, and we'll move into 2022. Okay, I'm back. Definitely less bright. We'll see how the colors show up though. Might have to turn it back on. We'll see. Okay, in 2022, the first WIP I have to show you is Jenny Bean's Halloween Sampler by Shakespeare's Peddler. I had purchased this when I went to Stitcher's Paradise when I was visiting Las Vegas. And I'm stitching it on my favorite fabric. If you've seen me before, you know my favorite fabric is Grandpa's Sleeve. I put my board up behind it, by X2 Design. I love the splotchy grunginess of this fabric, and it's very nice to stitch on. It's funny because I was just watching Annie from XO Needle in the Hay XO. She did her anniversary Flosstube with Liz Matthews, who is her BFF, and she said that this is her favorite fabric too. So, kindred souls, there we are. I am stitching this with all of the called for floss, which is all Gentle Arts, and that's my progress. I was working on filling in this house the other day. I just love this. I love the border. I love the colors. I can't wait to get back to this one. I am very much an in-season stitcher, so you're not often going to find me stitching like fall or Christmas out of season. But like I said, I did have fun pulling out these things and working out of season on some stuff. I felt like a rule breaker. Okay, I am keeping this. I don't know who this bag maker is. Maybe this is Michelle Lee Quilts. There's not a tag on it. I feel like it's Michelle Lee Quilts though. Michelle, is this your bag? It's pretty. I love it. Okay, next I have another birthday start. Here's my thing. I start things for my birthday and then I never finish them. So I did not start anything for my birthday this year or last year, I don't think. I don't know. I definitely didn't start anything for my birthday this year because I need to get some other birthday starts finished. So this pattern is Blue Flower, Night Walk Down. I love this one. Here's where I'm keeping all of my floss on this. I got this in a Black Needle Society box. It's from That's So Kelly Co. And I have all my floss, and I actually put the little stickers with the symbols back here because I did change some colors. Just a few, just so they looked better on my fabric. Here's what I've got so far. Yeah, I feel like the colors are coming through a little bit better. The modeling doesn't look as stark. So hopefully you can see it. So I'm stitching this on 40 count Jamie's Kilt by Fabrics by Stephanie. And I'm using mostly the called for with a couple of minor changes. And that's where it is. I love that peacock. I love its tail. And I can't wait to stitch more. I don't love the border. I don't love stitching borders in general. So that border is kind of a slog for me, but I am trying to just put some stitches in it here and there so I don't leave it all for the end, because that would be the kiss of death. Okay, and I'm keeping that in another Painted Leaf Co. bag. This was a recent release of my mom's. So pretty. And yeah, I would really like to get my birthday starts finished at some point. But whenever. Okay. All right, this next one is so cute. As I mentioned before, I have 2 dogs, and so, of course, when I saw this pattern called The Little Dog by Crochet A Go Go, I had to stitch it, and I had to turn it into my dog Daisy. This was before I had Lily, so I'm going to have to stitch a Lily dog too. But this one is going to be Daisy. Daisy is a Chiweenie. She's a brown and black Chiweenie with white on her snout and on her paws. But there she is. It's such a small one. I could get this one done. I don't know what this fabric is. I know it's a 40 count, but I don't know what color or what dyer. But it's very pretty. I am using all of the called for DMC flosses. I do love stitching with DMC. They're very saturated, and I love how the colors just pop. So there's my Daisy girl. I need to finish her. And I'm keeping this one in a bag made by my sister. My sister also makes project bags. Her name is Megan, and she has a shop called Pepper Pot Shop. And this was her dachshund bag, which is perfect since Daisy is half dachshund. Very cute. I love that one. Here's her logo, Pepper Pot Shop. Okay, next, I love this one so much. And I was happy to pull this out the other day. This is For the Love of Nature. Like I said, I love stitching animals. You've got an adorable deer there. Looks like he's giving the squirrel a little kiss. You've got a raccoon, a fox, a bunny. I love this one so much. I saw this when I was at StitchCon 2022. I saw the model. I had to buy the pattern, and I just have not given this enough love. I was stitching on this the other day, and it was making me very happy, so I am definitely going to get back to it. There's my top left start. So I think maybe if I work my way down to an animal, I mean, I guess I did a bird, but if I make my way down to an animal, I think it will make me want to work on it even more. The fabric for this is 40 count parchment by Fiber on a Whim. Fiber on a Whim is another one of my very favorite dyers. I love XJU Design. I love Fiber on a Whim. Their fabrics are fantastic. And I am using all of the called for floss, which looks like Weeks Dye Works, some DMC, and Classic Colorworks. And I'm keeping this in a bag from the 805 Stitcher that is made with the fabric, the Teresa Kogut fabric that coordinates with this pattern. Let me put this in here and I'll show it to you. I had to put my For the Love of Nature in my For the Love of Nature bag. So I always know what's in this bag. Oh, okay. Oh, this next one. This one has been giving me fits, and I don't know why. This one is Winter Rose Manor by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. So many people are stitching this. So many people have stitched it. Several of my friends are stitching this. My friend Sarah from Handmade by Sarah W is stitching it. Our friend Michelle from Michelle Lee Quilts is stitching it. She made her house blue, and it's so pretty. And here's mine. I don't know what this fabric is, but it's a 40 count. I'm stitching it in all of the called for colors, except Sarah and I changed out the white in the pattern is supposed to be Roasted Marshmallow by Gentle Arts, which is kind of yellowy. So we changed it to Toasted Marshmallow by Classic Colorworks, which is more white because it's the color used for the snow. And then we decided our house, we wanted to change the pink of the house. And so we changed it to this Roxy Floss color called Blush Crush. So that's going to be the pink of our house. The thing that's giving me fits with this is for some reason I'm having trouble with the counting down here and in my roof. I've made a mistake somewhere, and I just need to figure out where that mistake is. But, you know, it always happens for me anyways, where like I'll make a mistake, I'll fix it, and then I'll make another mistake and fix it, and then by the time I've made my third mistake, I'm just done. That's what happened with this. So I just got frustrated and put it away for the season. So I will pull it back out this coming winter. I made myself a note like where I think the mistake is. I just need to go back and find it and frog it and fix it. I'm a fixer, not a frogger. I wish I could be a fixer. No, excuse me. I guess a fixer and a frogger is the same thing because you have to frog to fix. I'm a fixer, not a fudger. That's what I'm trying to say. I wish I could fudge. I just can't. It bothers me. It bothers me so much. I'd rather just frog it and fix it than to fudge it and keep going, because then I'm just frustrated with the stitch and I don't want to stitch on it. So it's a character flaw, I know. I would save myself a lot of time if I just fudged, but anyway. But that's going to be so pretty when it's done one of these days. I've thought about UFOing that one, but I do have too much done on that one. And I know it's going to be an easy fix, right? So I just need to, my problem is I just need to find where I messed up. That's the problem. Once I find it, I'll fix it. So anyway, I'm keeping this in another bag by Painted Leaf Co. Another one of my mom's vinyl bags that she used to make. I think this was that blackbird fabric. Very pretty. I thought the color went well with the colors of the pattern. I do try to match my bags with like the season or the vibe of the stitch. That way I know, like when I look at something, I generally know what's in there, you know, especially if it's seasonal. Okay, speaking of seasonal, the next one is Love Always by Annie B's Folk Art. This one is so pretty. I had picked this up at Stitch Away when I was there in 2022. I saw the model. I thought it was gorgeous. And let me get my board here. And here's my start. I'm just stitching this on a small scrap of 40 count Silver Fox by Fiber on a Whim. Just a small start, got the house outlined. I'm ready to fill it all in. I did change the colors of the house because they're very bright on this cover photo. You get the red and the pink. But then when I pulled the called for colors, do I still have them on here? When I pulled the called for colors, here they are. Excuse me. You've got Clay Pot by Classic Colorworks and Cherry Cobbler by Classic Colorworks. I just didn't think those were vibrant enough to match the photo. So I decided to change mine to Strawberry Parfait by Classic Colorworks and Ribbon Red. I thought those were a lot brighter compared to these two. So that's how I'm stitching it. So there it is again. This won't take me too long to finish. I'm sure I'll pull this out around Valentine's Day and get a finish on it. It's so pretty. I do like Annie B's Folk Art. I've stitched a few of her things. And I'm keeping this in a Valentine's bag from Painted Leaf Co., my mom's shop. And here it is. Very pretty. All right, next, I have another Annie B's Folk Art. This one's a very small start. This is called You Melt My Heart. And it comes with these two patterns. So I'm starting with the snowman. And I love how there's like that design on the snowman's body with the negative space. And then you've got all of these down here. I may just leave that off and stitch that. I don't know, we'll see. But here's my start. I hand dyed this fabric. It's a 36 count. It's a 36 count. I dyed it because I wanted it to match the color on the cover, and I think it does. But I haven't made much progress because I don't like white stitching. So, not sure why I decided a snowman was the best thing to stitch. It's just so cute. I just really don't like white stitching. I just never feel like my white stitches look nice. They look fine, but we're our own worst critics sometimes. I am using, I think they're all color, no, Classic Colorworks, Weeks Dye Works, and DMC. I am using all the called for. So I'll work on that again this Valentine's Day. All right, this next one is a big one. This is called Live on Little by Plum Street Samplers. I love this. I love the ocean scene down here with the fish and the whales and the lobsters. So cute. All right, and I'm stitching mine on a 46 count dirt track by Fox and Rabbit. Here it is. And I am using all the called for colors on these floss drops that I got from Jessica, Sweetwater Stitcher. She made those for me. And that's where I'm at. So that's the width, or that's the length of the stitch. So I've got a long ways to go. Jessica also made this little floss bling here. It's so cute with the sailboat. Very pretty. All the called for, they've got Weeks Dye Works, DMC, yeah, and Classic Colorworks. All the called for. So there's that. I'm keeping it in this sea-themed bag from the Pampered Needle. I put this all in here first. I like this bag. I think this is the only bag I have from the Pampered Needle. I like it. It's very cute. Okay, next, I hope I'm keeping this moving quickly enough. Try not to rush, but I'm also trying not to linger too long and bore anyone. So it's a fine line sometimes. All right, next we have Jan Hicks Creates. This is Meditation Garden. This is another recent restart. I had started this at StitchCon in 2022 with several friends. Some friends have finished it, got it framed. I had started mine on a 32 count fabric and then just never worked on it again. So this just recently I started it again, restarted it on a 40 count, and I'm loving it. This is a 40 count Stardust by Fabrics by Stephanie. Yeah, I feel like my colors are showing up much better without that bright light shining on me. So I hope you can see everything okay. I just feel like the colors are a little more true. The modeling isn't showing up as crazy, but I'll bring you in a little bit closer. I am using all of the called for DMCs for this. I saw the model for this when I was at StitchCon, and the model is what sold it, because this photo was but the model was so beautiful. I believe the model was stitched all in silks. This is charted in silks, but there is a DMC conversion. And I'm just loving my restart on this. This fabric is so pretty, and I just love the colors. My friend Allison said it looks like sherbet. And yeah, I also love the fact that in this pattern, the border as you go around changes. So you're not stitching the same thing over and over and over again. By the time you start getting bored of a border, it changes to something else. So very fun. I cannot wait to get some more stitches on this and eventually have it hanging up. The colors are so pretty. Like I said, these are all the DMC. They're so bright and vibrant. And I'm noticing lately I really like stitching with bright colors. Maybe it's like summertime me. I'm sure by the fall I'll be ready for the, you know, the browns and the oranges and all those warm colors. Okay, I put this in a bag I got recently. This bag is very pretty. This is from Wildberry Stitching, and it's so pretty. I love her patchwork bags. Okay, that is all of 2022. Okay, we've got 3 more years to go. I'm going to pause this and grab 2023. Okay, I'm back. Okay, 2023's pile is a little bit bigger. I feel like I started the most things in 2023. I don't know what happened, but I went a little crazy that year. Starting off with Hello Halloween, the Halloween sampler. This book has other patterns in it, but I saw this and I was like, I want to stitch that. My friend Karen, who is Benton Station Crafter on Instagram, she finished this at StitchCon and it looked amazing. I would definitely suggest going and taking a look at hers. She did a color conversion and it looks so good. She even changed some of the elements in the pattern, but I'm not going to tell you about all of her changes. You can go look at it for yourself. Benton Station Crafter. Hers was amazing. But also I realized that this is a truly huge pattern. I mean, I already knew it, but seeing hers, I was just like, oh my gosh. And I came to the realization you're never going to stitch that whole thing. So, especially when this is your start. So this was my start. And I was like, no, ma'am. So I decided, because I still love this, I decided that I'm going to stitch a couple of the bands and turn it into a drum. That way I don't have to stitch all of that. So I decided my favorite band in this whole thing is this top band. I love this giant jack-o'-lantern. I love the pumpkin people with their baskets. And I love this giant bird. And I was very inspired by Karen. Like I said, she came up with her own color palette and I loved her changes. So I was like, I'm going to change my colors too, because these are very primitive. I mean, it works. It's great. But I wanted to be like Karen. So I changed my colors too. I'm not going to share what colors I'm using because I'm going to be picking as I go along. So I might not use all of these colors. I might add in other colors as I go. But here's my color palette. So far I've got like a really dark purple and some fun orangey rust colors. Blacks and grays. I love these greens. There's another purpley color, a gold. So these are kind of the colors I've pulled. Like I said, I may or may not use all of those. I may add in other colors as I go. But like I said, I decided I'm going to start with this band and I will turn it into a drum. I hope that's long enough for a drum. I guess I'll find out. If not, I could just frame it like that, right? So I started with this pumpkin. I stitched this little bird up here and I started with the pumpkin, but I stitched like the middle part of the pumpkin. So it looks like a tall, skinny pumpkin so far. But this, let me move this over. This is what I've got so far. Nothing too impressive. I literally restarted this last night. So that's my restart and I love it on this fabric. This fabric is 40 count buttermilk by Fiber on a Whim. And I'm excited. I feel reinvigorated knowing now that I'm just going to stitch a small part. I'm not stitching the whole thing, so it doesn't feel overwhelming anymore. I would like to stitch more than one of those bands and make a couple of cute little Halloween drums, but we'll start with one for now and see where that takes me. I've got this in a bag from So Much to Love. I used to be in their Bag of the Month club. Very cute bags. So yeah, there's my Halloween sampler. Oh, I can't stop thinking about Karen's. Hers was amazing. She finished it at StitchCon. She got to ring the bell and have a big moment. I was so happy for her. Okay, this next one is from Lindy Stitches. This is called Little Brown Bird. There it is. It says, Little brown bird with breast of red, fly back to me for winter is dead. So I really enjoyed stitching this at the end of winter, early spring this year. I mean, I started it in 2023. I don't know that I touched it at all in 2024, but I did work on it this past winter in 2025, and I made some good progress on it. Here it is. So I do have all of the words done. I just have to go around and do all of this border. I love how it's like a repeating border and everything that's up here is just like mirrored down here, you know, like a reflection. I guess not exactly. It's not exactly because that house is pink. You know what I'm saying though. Very cute. I am using all the called for colors. Here they are. It looks like they are Classic Colorworks and DMCs. Very pretty. I love this fabric. This fabric is 40 Count Sea Spray by Seraphim. I love that color. All right, so there's that one. Hopefully I can finish it this coming winter. I am keeping this. I think this is another Wildberry stitching bag. It is. I thought the colors reflected the colors in the pattern. There it is. Another pretty patchwork. I love those bears. Okay, next is my 2023 birthday start. Me and my birthday starts. Yeah, I think this was my last birthday start because I think 2024 and 2025, I was like, no more. No more birthday starts. You're not allowed to start anything for your birthday. Doesn't stop me from starting anything any other time of year, but hey. This is Three Things Sampler by Moira Blackburn. It's gorgeous. It's huge. The sentiment says, 3 things there are that will never come back. The arrow shot forth on its destined track, the appointed hour that could not wait, and the helpful word that was spoken too late. And here is where I'm at. So, I'm actually, I think this is 9 pages. So this was page 1, page 2. I'm almost done with page 3. So I still have a ways to go, but that's where I'm at so far. I think it's gorgeous. I'm using all of the called for DMC. I think it was charted in silks too, but I'm using the DMC and I'm stitching mine on 46 count Rocky Mountain by XG Design. I love the subtle modeling. It doesn't compete with the stitch at all. And that's where I'm at so far. Here's my color palette. Got like a purple in here. Got like this salmon pink here. Pretty colors. So yeah, that was my 2023 birthday start. I didn't think what year I was in. And I got this bag from my friend Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. I love this. And I keep my 3 Things sampler in it. All right. Thanks again for being patient while I put things back in the bags, because that will save me a lot of heartache and confusion later on. All right, next I have a stitch that I am doing with my friend Sarah. She is Handmade by Sarah W. on Flosstube and Instagram. In fact, just a heads up, you're probably going to hear her name several more times because Sarah and I stitch a lot of the same things. So when I say Sarah, I'm talking about Handmade by Sarah W. So this is one of our shared stitches. We are stitching the Blackberry House by Plum Street Samplers. I feel like this is an older pattern. This came from 2015, so it's 10 years old. And here's mine. I'm stitching mine on 46 count pewter by Color and Cotton. I am using all of the called for colors, which looks like a mix of Classic Colorworks and Gentle Arts, but I did change out this like gray blue that you see down here in the urn and up here in the border to a Roxy Floss in the color Irony, because the color that was called for was just too light and it wasn't showing up on my fabric. So here's where I'm at. I love these colors. One of my favorite colors is in this pattern. Where is it? I love this color right here. It's called Current by Gentle Arts. It's just like a deep purpley berry color. It's beautiful. So that's where I'm at. Sarah has way more done on hers. So if you want to see hers, she just did a WIP parade recently, so you should pop over and take a look. When Sarah and I stitch things together, mostly we just kind of stitch at our own pace. and, you know, check in with each other and show each other our progress along the way. There are a couple that we are stitching together, like we make goals and we stitch the same place at the same time, but most of the things we stitch together are just kind of an at your own pace type of thing. So there's that. I keep this in my Michelle Lee Quilts bag. Very pretty. Okay, next, I worked on this a little bit recently. This is called We're All Mad Here by Pine Mountain Designs. A little dark of a pattern, but it's an Alice in Wonderland themed pattern. I'm stitching mine, so the fabric is a 40 count Mayflower gray, but I don't know who the dyer is. But 40 count Mayflower gray, it's like this purpley gray type of color. And you can see I have the Queen of Hearts, I've got the Mad Hatter, I've got the Cheshire Cat up there. So I have more to do. I've got to get Alice in over here, and the rabbit and the card guy. But there we are. I believe I am using all of the called for DMCs. I am. There's the color palette. It's very cute. I don't love this fabric, to be honest. It's kind of a, let me show you. It's kind of a very like loosey-goosey weave. I like my weaves to be very tight. You can see it's very see-through. So it's not my favorite to stitch on. Some people like a really loose weave. I like a really tight weave. I'm going to keep going on it though. That one's not going to be a restart. That one we'll just keep plugging along because I think the fabric color is great for this one. And I'm keeping this, of course, in an Alice in Wonderland bag that I got from Jess at Como Stitches. There's the back. I love the little rabbit, the white rabbit. Okay, next I have another Lindy Stitches. This one is called Peppermint Candy. This is a Christmas design. It says peppermint candy, gingerbread spice. Christmas means everything nice. And I just love all the little tiny motifs. This is an easy one to pick up and just plug a couple of little things in here and there, which is what I've been doing. I'm stitching this on 40 count brick powder by X2 Design. I think it's a great color. It's kind of like a ballerina pink color. And it's very cute. I am using all the called for colors, which is like a mix of DMC, Weeks Dye Works, Classic Colorworks, and there are some Forbidden Fiber Co. flosses in here. Very cute. I can't wait to get down here and stitch the little bunny with a sweater and the goose. I don't like geese in real life, but I like stitching them. Oh, I already made a mistake. I forgot to put this pattern back in the bag. Pardon me while I do that. I don't want to get myself all mixed up. As fellow stitchers, you understand, I'm sure. Okay, let's put this one back in its bag. This is another bag from Handmade by Michelle Lee Quilts, or excuse me, just Michelle Lee Quilts. Her tag says Handmade by Michelle Lee Quilts. Very cute. I think I picked this up when I was at the 2023 Chantel's Pep Rally. Michelle always brings bags to sell at that retreat. Okay. Next, oh, I pulled this one out the other day when I was working on this one. I had not touched this one probably since I started it in 2023, and I just love it. This is called Remember Me by Teresa Kogut. Megan from the Seattle Stitcher, she showed hers recently. She changed her house to blue. It looks fantastic. I am going to keep it all the called for colors. It says, when this you see, remember me. I think it would make a very beautiful like memorial piece. And this one, crazy enough, I started in the middle, sort of. Like the middle off to the side. I guess I wanted to start with that house. So there's the house. I'm stitching this on a 46 count Thornfield by Needle and Flax. And I am using all of the called for colors, which looks like a mix of, oh wait, maybe I'm just only using DMC. Does it call for just DMC? Let me look. Just curious. It calls for, oh yeah, it calls for all DMC except for one Classic Colorworks and one Weeks Dye Works, but it looks like I just went ahead and pulled all of the DMC. So there's the colors. Very pretty. I can't wait to stitch more of this. I just think the flowers and the border are so pretty. I cannot wait to, that's a border that I actually won't mind stitching because it's not repetitive. I can't stand a repetitive border. It's boring. Some people love a repetitive border because you don't have to think about it. So that's my start. I did pull this back out the other day. I did the outline of the roof. I did the outline of these 4 windows. I already had the door. I had this window and I had to start on these brown patterns. So I definitely want to get back to this one soon. It just kind of revived my excitement about this one because I just hadn't touched it or thought about it since then. And I don't know why, because I love it. I'm keeping this in a bag by the 805 Stitcher. I'll show it to you in 1 second. Here it is. Okay, next, I pulled this one out the other day too because I hadn't touched this in a hot minute either, and I really love this one. This is called Bertha May Brown Sampler by Chessie and Me. It's one of the ones where it has the photograph like glued to the front, but mine came off. I got this in a kit from Country Sampler, I think. So it came with like the called for fabric, the floss. So, and I'm pretty sure this is the called for. So that would mean it is 36 count old gold by Fiber on a Whim. Let me just check that. Yeah. And then the flosses are a mix of Classic Colorworks and Weeks. I am using all of the called for. There we go. But as I was stitching the other day, so I got like this whole row in here and I started down here. As I was stitching the other day, I was thinking to myself that I might not stitch all of it. So let me put this down for a second. So if you look in here, so this row right here is where I'm at. And then down below here, you have Bertha May Brown. You've got the year she stitched it, and then you've got a whole other alphabet. I decided I don't want to stitch any of that. So I'm going to take it out from where it says Bertha May Brown all the way down to this row of alphabets. And so after this row here, will that look weird though? Because it goes, now I'm thinking about it here, because this goes to W and then the XYZ comes down here. So what I could do, I'm thinking on the fly here, people. What I could do is take out the Bertha May Brown, stitch this row next with just the date that I stitched it. That way I have the XYZ, and then leave out these 3 rows down here. So leaving out her name, these 3 rows, and then bringing all of this up a little bit. That would save me some stitching, and I wouldn't have to stitch the alphabet again. What do you think? I'm all about finding ways to make my stitching a little more, you know, if there's something in there that you don't want, you could take it out, right? It's not a bad thing to do that. But I just love the colors on this fabric. This fabric is fantastic. Although I kind of wish, now that I'm looking at it, although again, it's not as stark when you look at it in person, but you've got this like big blotch here. I should have started on this side. I'm not restarting it. I don't know why it is that sometimes, I guess because I love this fabric, so I don't want to restart it. But like if I just hate the fabric, I'm going to restart something. Anyway, I'm keeping this in a bag that I thought the colors really matched the colorway of the pattern. This is from Buckleberry. Nope, it's from Starry Owl Stitchery. Excuse me. This is from Starry Owl Stitchery. I just thought the colors went really well with that pattern. Very pretty. Another pretty patchwork. Okay, next This is one that I started with Sarah back in 2023. It is called Dasher and Dancer. It is from Hobby House Press. It is this beautiful Quaker Christmas design. And I really need to get back to this one too. I don't think I put any stitches into it this year, so this one's gonna need to come back out. It is gorgeous. I love it. I love it so much. I don't often stitch monochromatic, so this really scratches that itch for me. This is a 46 count Cream and Sugar by Fiber on a Whim. And I am using Roxy Floss in the color Cabernet. It's gorgeous. I love it. I don't really stitch Quakers either. I don't know why. I don't dislike Quakers. It's just not something I gravitate toward. So this is really fun for me. You can see, it's hard to hold two things up at once. I have not reached the bottom of the design because you have like this band down here. So I'm almost at the bottom. I'm here, down here. So I still have like another like band of stitching that goes below it. And that will be the width, the length. I don't know. There we go. Very pretty. Sarah has good progress on hers. She started with that tree in the middle. It looks so good. I'm keeping this in my deer bag to go with Dasher and Dancer. And this is from Painted Leaf Co., my mom's shop. It's so pretty. I love those deer with their curly antlers. Very sweet. And you can't see it, but like you might be able to see it, but the leaves and stuff are like gold, like shimmery gold. I love when I find bags that match with my projects, because then like when I look at those bags, I know what's inside without having to open it. All right, this was another 2023 start, a winter start called The Light of Winter by Brenda Gervais with my needle and thread. It's so pretty. And here is mine. I'm stitching this on a 40 count Bria by Needle and Flax. And that's where I'm at. I still have a ways to go, but I think it's looking great so far. I believe I'm using all of the called for floss. Looks like there's some DMC, some Weeks Dye Works. There's the color palette. It's so pretty. Okay, I did not touch that one recently. I told you I tried to put some stitches into most of my things. I did not get to that one, unfortunately, so I'll try to pull that out at some point in the near future. Okay, and I'm keeping this in a bag from Painted Leaf Co. I thought the colors went really well with this design, so I'm pretty sure that's Teresa Kogut fabric. Okay, my next one is a Barbara Anna. I think it was a collaboration with Nitka Moscow, and I got it as a PDF. Excuse me. So. Oh, here's what I was going to tell you. So this design is called Madame Butterfly, and you can see in this pattern here, this design, sorry for the glare, she has her eyes open, but there's also another charted version where her eyes are closed, and I'm stitching the eyes closed version. It is charted all in DMC, right? And here's mine. I'm stitching this on a 36 count dovetail by Forbidden Fiber. And like I said, I'm using all the called for DMC. And for this one, I'm using 2 strands on 36. For me, 36, depending on the weave and depending on the design, I decide whether I'm going to use 1 strand or 2. For this one, I wanted the colors to be very saturated and vibrant. And so I decided to go with 2 strands. And I think it's so pretty so far. I'm not convinced that this was the best fabric for this, but I don't think it's terrible, so I'm going to keep it on this fabric. I just really wanted something where the colors would pop. And I think maybe with the modeling on this fabric, maybe they're not popping as much as I wanted them to, but they still look great. So I'm just going to keep going with it. So there's that. I need to stitch more Barbara Anna. Her designs are so pretty and I love looking at them. I think that's my only Barbara Anna. I don't know if I've ever like stitched any of her other ones. I don't know. Okay, here are the colors. They're so vibrant. I feel like the light's getting dimmer because it's getting like cloudy outside. I hope you guys can see everything okay. I feel like I always have lighting issues. This room, sorry, I forgot to put my project card back in the light of winter. I feel like lighting is an issue for me. It's not the best room for filming, but it's the room that I have, so we're gonna go with it. Okay, this next one is called The Moonshine Cabin. It was a collaboration between Modern Folk Embroidery, Evertote, and Roxy Floss. And so here's what the design looks like. It's so pretty, so intricate with all like the vines and the leaves. And so I purchased the fabric, the floss, the pattern, all from Evertote. And here's what I've got so far. I've found recently that I just really don't like stitching on dark fabric. It's hard for me to see, but for some reason this fabric I can see easier on. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's not as dark as some of my other dark fabrics, but I can more easily see the holes on this one. And so this one's not as much of a struggle. This pattern, or excuse me, this fabric is called It's 40 Count Night Owl by Roxy Floss Co. And I'm stitching it with all of the Roxy Floss colors. So very, very small color palette. I think there's like 6 colors here. But it's looking cute so far. I need to work on that some more. It's a common theme here. But now that I've kind of weeded out some of my WIPs that weren't working for me, I feel less intimidated by the amount of WIPs that I still have. You know, and everybody has their own personal preference for like how many WIPs you're comfortable with. I've always had a lot of WIPs, you know, probably since 2023. And, but I think over time, you know, just as I continue to grow as a stitcher and continue to branch out and watch different floss tubes and see the different designs that are coming out, I feel like my tastes for designs and fabric and stuff keep changing and evolving over time. And so something that I was excited about in 2022 or 2023 might not do it for me anymore. And that's okay. It's nothing against like the designer or anything. It's just, you know, we all have our preferences and sometimes things just don't, just aren't doing it for me anymore. And that's okay. There are so many things to stitch, right? I purchased this bag from Evertote when I purchased that design. And if you know me, you know I love a nutcracker. I collect them. Okay, another holiday themed stitch that I have here is Oh Dear by Sew Emma. It's Sew Emma, excuse me. I think it's so cute. I love the original Rudolph movie. And here's my start. I love this fabric. Like my card here. I love this fabric. This is 36 count Winterbrook by Under the Sea. And if you can see, it's sparkly. I just thought this sparkly fabric would be super cute for this Christmassy stitch. And so far I have a reindeer ear, part of a reindeer ear. So I've got a ways to go on this one too. My friend Allison stitches these. So like this is part of like a set of 3, I want to say. You've got Rudolph, you've got Santa Claus, you've got Mrs. Claus. And so I can't remember if she stitched Rudolph, but I know she stitched Mrs. Claus. And I think she's working on Santa, but she uses these as her car stitch because there's a lot of fill-in. So that would be a good one to take next time I need some fill-in for a retreat. Okay, and I'm using the called for DMC for that one as well. There's only like, what, 5, 6 colors? Very easy to kit up and stitch. And I'm keeping this in a bag from Mila's Sweet Makes. I put a little penguin charmy on my zipper. Very cute. All right, and I'm down to one more for 2023. Okay, we're getting there. So this is from the Blackbird Designs book, A Heart Remembers. And you'll notice there's this pattern down here where there's like 5 different like parts of the pattern that are all stitched on different fabrics. And I saw someone on Instagram, I think her name was Lainey Main. She stitched, I want to say she stitched these 2 parts and she changed the colors all up. There they are right there. And I just thought her colors were so fun and so vibrant. And I was like, I want to do that too. I think this was at the time where I started realizing like, I can choose my own colors. What? Like, I don't know why it took me so long to realize that. I think like, especially for those of us, I know like for my friend Allison, she and I have been stitching like our whole lives. I think for those of us who were old school stitchers, like changing the colors was not a thing people did, right? Like, you stitched everything on white Aida, you used the call for DMC, no questions asked. And so like, you know, for me, like discovering Flosstube, you know, in the, you know, late 2000 teens, early 2020s, it was just like, what? I can change colors? Like, I had no idea. So yeah, so when I saw hers, I was like, that is so fun. I'm going to do that too. So I did. And here's my start. I decided to stitch the 2 parts that she stitched, not stitching that whole design. And here's what I've got so far. I just thought, you know, add in some like hot pink and some variegated purplies and just have fun with it. So I'm just pulling colors as I go. I'm stitching this on a 40 count Mystic fabric. And here's like my colors. I haven't used all these colors. I don't know if I'll use all these colors, but here they are. Let me try to show this to you. I'm just pulling as I go. But I wanted to pull some vibrant pinks and purples and blues. I've got like some greens in there. So yeah, I'm just having fun with it. Got like an orangey color in there. So that's what I've got so far. I do love that there are Algerian eyelets in this design. The grapes, I don't know if you could see that. I don't know if my light's good enough for that, but the grapes up here, the grapes are all Algerian eyelets. I love an Algerian eyelet. So cute. So yeah, I'm gonna keep working on that. That one's super fun. Like, do you guys remember when you came to the realization that you can change colors? Like for me, that was just like mind-boggling. It was mind-blowing. Now I love changing colors. Okay. And I'm keeping this in a bag that I got from Starry Owl Stitchery. I wish I knew fabric lines. I'm sure you guys know these fabric lines that I'm holding up, but I don't know fabric lines, but I think it's pretty. Maybe this is like Ruby Star Society. I'm not even gonna pretend that I know. Okay, that was all of 2023. We've got 2024 and 2025 to go. I promise there are less WIPs in those years than there were in 2023. So the next two piles should go a little bit faster. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to grab those. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I turned that light back on, but I moved it back a little bit. I'm a hot mess. Sorry. I was like, I'm going to be so organized and streamlined for this video. Best laid plans. Okay, my 2024 WIPs. Let's do this. This pile is a little high. We'll get there. All right, this is Tom's Foolery. It is by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. I started this last year on, 2024. I started this with Sarah W. On April Fool's Day. In fact, we made a hashtag for it, Foolery on Fools. And we're still working on this. I mentioned earlier that there are some patterns, some designs that she and I are setting goals with each other and working on together, and this is one of those. So we work on this one together. So if you saw hers and mine, we're in the exact same place. So here we are. Here is Tom's Foolery. I'm using all of the called for DMC colors. There's some great colors in here, very vibrant color palette. All DMC. I'm stitching this on 40 count Lightning by Needle Bling. So our most recent goal was like we drew an imaginary line and we were like, let's stitch everything below this line because we've kind of been hopping here and there and everywhere. And so we had some of the stuff down here, but not all of it. So we were like, okay, this line here, everything below it, finish that. So that's what we did last time. And while I love this pattern overall, there's a lot of fun, funky stuff going on in this pattern. You can see there's a lot of busyness going on down here on the bottom. Lots of like confetti, you know, stitching going on down there. I did not enjoy that part. Just saying it, just saying. I did not enjoy that part. But now that we have all of this done, I feel like we have some bigger, chunkier stitching coming up. We've got that big yellow house in the middle. There's that big funky tree over here. So I think those parts will go a little faster for me. Also, I really hate this border. I hate stitching the border. The border looks great. I don't like stitching it. I told you I don't like borders. But that border, there's a lot going on. It'll look fantastic when I get it done. But just like all this little fill-in stuff in between the bigger diamonds, my goodness gracious. So there we are. There's my Tom's Foolery. It looks really cool. I'm gonna love it when it's done. So Sarah and I need to set a new goal so we can see where we're going next. I'm hoping we're gonna do the big yellow house. I'm ready for some chunky stitching. And I'm keeping this in a bag that was made for me by our friend Lori. I decided our Tom's Foolery needed to be in a colorful bag. And that's where that one lives. All right, speaking of Sarah, I've got another stitch along that she and I are doing. This is another one. Oh, I forgot to show you on my Tom's Foolery thread. Sarah made this little floss bling for us that has the little guy from the design in his striped pajamas. So this next one is also another one that Sarah and I work on together where we set goals. This is a big one, so it's going to take us a while to get done with this. This thing is so big. It's like a blanket. This is Serenity by Teresa Kogut. We made a hashtag for this too, hashtag Serenity with the Sarahs. And we just kind of plug away at this here and there. We are using all of the called for flosses. I have mine on this fun floss style. I'm pretty sure this, I got it up from an Etsy shop and I haven't been able to find it since. I don't know if they're still on Etsy or what, but it's got a little magnet here where you could put your needle. Very cool. And I'm stitching this. She and I are actually both stitching this on the same fabric, except that I always stitch on linen and Sarah always stitches on Aida. But we are both using Latte by Fiber on a Whim. And mine is a 40 count linen. Okay, let's see if I can hold this up. This is such a big one. It's hard to show. Okay. There it is. It's huge. Even on a 40 count, like look how big that is. It's pretty substantial. So Sarah and I need to set another goal for this. I don't know where we're going to go with it next, but I feel like we need to start filling in some of that stuff up at the top there. Looking a little bare up top. So she and I will have to talk about it, see where we're going. I love that we have some things that we stitch like at the same time, and then other things that we stitch at our own pace. It's really fun. I love having a friend to stitch things with. She made us these project bags for our Serenity. It's perfect. It goes perfectly with the colors and the design. I love it. So that was Serenity. All right, next is another one that I'm stitching with several friends, Sarah being one of them. I'm pretty sure, I'm trying to remember who all is stitching this with us. So the next one that I'm hold on, I forgot to put the project in the bag. That's a problem. The next design I'm talking about, oh, and as we move through here, so I got an iPad last year for my birthday, my first ever iPad. And I use it only for stitching. So I don't have all of my patterns with my projects because I scan all my patterns into my iPad. So I just have them on my iPad to use. I love using the iPad because I can blow out my patterns nice and big and see them very easily. So I'm going to be showing several of my patterns coming up just on the iPad, because I haven't been keeping the physical copies with the project bags. But this next one is called Harvest Moon by Annie B's Folk Art. I believe this was a new one last fall. And so, like I said, several of our friends were all stitching it together. So Sarah, I believe Michelle Lee Quilts is stitching this. Perhaps our friend Emily, Short and Stitchy, and Lori, the Grateful Needle. I think that's everybody. I can't remember if anybody else is stitching this with us, but here is mine. I have the outline of the house done. I'm working on the border. I did pull this out the other day and just kind of add a little bit to the border on each side. I'm stitching this on 40 count Maple Bar by Cedar River Linen, and we are using a Roxy Floss conversion that I believe Emily and Lori got the ladies from Roxy Floss to convert when they were at Stitch North. I think I'm correct about that. I did put like a primrose charm on my floss ring there. But there's the colors we're using, and that's my start so far. So like I said, I'm a very much in the season stitcher, so once fall was over, I put this away. But I'm looking forward to getting that one back out again. I'm using a project bag from Painted Leaf Co. again. Lots of Painted Leaf Co. and Pepper Pot Shop bags in my stash. And next, I have another pattern that I'm stitching with Sarah. We started this on the first day of school this past year. So like I mentioned, I'm a teacher. She has a daughter who's in school. And so her daughter and I had the same start day. So we decided to stitch this together. It is called Love and Learning by Emily Call. And here's my start. That's where I'm at. See, I'm not taking the time to clip all of these to the board because I feel like that's going to take too much time away. So I'm just trying to improvise here. Usually I have these Wonder clips that I use to hold things, but I thought that would take extra time if I clipped everything on and unclipped everything. So this is on 46 count Thornfield by Needle and Flax. And I'm using all of the called for colors, although I did pull, hold on, let me look here. So all the called for colors that I'm using are DMC, but I did pull a couple of Roxy Floss colors, well, a few Roxy Floss colors that I might put in the design here and there. I don't know. Sometimes I just put other colors on my floss ring just in case I decide I want to use them. But so far, I don't think I've used anything but the called for colors. So that's where I'm at. I'm looking forward to getting down, you know, to that tree and the house. But I started top left and I worked my way over. I wanted to see if I had enough room. I was a little worried about the margins, but I think I should be okay with the margins that I gave myself. So there we go. We'll have to work on this again on the first day of school again this year. Kind of like a first day of school piece. And I'm keeping this in another So Much to Love bag. I thought this one was perfect. I think this is a blackbird fabric, if I'm not mistaken. But I thought this was appropriate because it has, you know, the alphabet on it. And this is a school piece. I don't know. And I thought the colors were coordinating. All right, next I have a, this design was a stitch along hosted by my friends Jody, who is Simply Stitching Ocala on Instagram and Flosstube and Etsy, and she has her own shop now on the internet. And our friend Felicia, who is Floss and Blocks on Instagram and Etsy, they hosted the Dear Friends Sal, and this is from Plum Street Samplers. This is a chart from 2015, and I have a small start on mine. Here's mine. I got a deer and a pumpkin. I'm stitching mine on 46 count Old Mushroom by X2 Design, and I'm using all of the called for colors, which looks like all classic color works. Yeah. Very small start, so looking forward to getting back to that one too. I'm keeping this in a project bag that Jody gave us at StitchCon last year. All right, next is another project that I started with Sarah last year. I feel like a lot of people are stitching this. This is the Floral Motif Sampler. I feel like we started this in September last year as our back to school. This is from the Scarlet House. And here's mine. I'm stitching mine on 46 count Silver Fox by Fiber on a Whim. And I am using all the called for colors, which looks like a mix of Gentle Arts and there's a Weeks Dye Works in here. I'm pretty sure I'm using the called for color palette. Very pretty. I thought it looked great on this fabric. I thought those colors popped on here. All right. Keeping that in this beautiful Painted Leaf Go bag. A flower bag for a flower design. All right. I was hoping I could make this video short, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I hope you don't mind. I love a long WIP parade, so hopefully you do too. But if it gets too long, you could always stop me and watch the rest later. All right, this next one, my chart is on my iPad. This is a Christmas design from Brenda Gervais. It is called Christmas Cottage. You got Santa there in the house. I love the socks that are hanging from the mantle. Like, they're not regular stockings. They're like the long tube socks with the red stripes. It's funny. So Sarah and I stitched another one that was like that, but it was a fall Halloween piece called Hallow Day Inn. It had two witches within like the frame of a house. We fully finished that one last year. So there's my start. I did do a restart on this. I had started this on Picture This Plus Shale, and my colors were just not showing up. So I restarted this. I'm in the Roxy Floss Co. Fabric of the Month Club, and this was the first one I received. Mine didn't have a name. It was just Fabric of the Month, September 2024. So whatever this color is, it's gorgeous. It works great for this design. I'm using Weeks Dye Works, Classic Color Works, Gentle Arts. I think they're all the called for. Oh, there we go. So I can't wait to work my way down there and get to Santa. That's such a cute one. I'm keeping this in this Painted Leaf Co. house bag to go with my little house stitch. All right. Speaking of Christmas and houses, this next one was from the Jingle Ball. It was a Jingle Ball exclusive. It was a Stacy Nash. Oh my goodness, where's my pattern? Here it is. This is the Gingerbread House sewing book. So this came as a PDF. You see you got the front of the house, the back of the house, and you use it to make this like needle book or sewing book. And so, oh good, the sun's coming out. That's helpful. So here's mine. It might have been easier just to use the clips, but here we are. We're making it work. Here we go. So I'm stitching mine on 40 Count Up in the Attic by Fox and Rabbit. I'm using all of the called for colors, which are all Weeks Dye Works. And that's what I've got so far. I haven't started the back of the house yet, just the front. I just love this little gingerbread house look, so I can't wait to get back to this one and stitch some more on this one. Like I said, I'm a holiday stitcher, so, you know, a seasonal holiday stitcher. So once the season or the holiday's done, I'm done. So got another house bag by Painted Leaf Co. I love this one. All right, next, I feel like I keep flipping back and forth between fall and winter. This next one is a fall design by Stacy Nash. This one, do I have the pattern here with, oh, I do have this one. Okay. This one is called Merry Autumn Pin Keep by Stacy Nash. All of those chickens. I never thought I would enjoy stitching chickens, but I find myself being drawn to some chicken patterns. I don't know what's going on. I'm stitching this on a 40 Count Moonstone by Fiber on a Whim. And I'm using all of the called for colors with a couple of substitutes. And I think, sorry, I'm trying to look at my notes here. All of the called for colors are Weeks Dye Works, but I did switch out for one Forbidden Fiber Co., Classic Color Works, and Roxy Floss, probably because I just didn't have those colors. So I will do that. I try to stitch a lot from stash. And so if I don't have a called for color, I'll just try to find something else in my stash that works. But that's my start. Started in the top left corner, got that big white pumpkin on top of the roof. Can't wait to work my way down and stitch those chickens and that lady. It's so fun. But I like my start so far. And speaking of chickens, I'm keeping them in this adorable chicken bag from my sister's shop, Pepper Pot Shop. I had to have a chicken bag for my chicken stitch. So cute. Okay, next. So Sarah, again, Sarah W., she, this was her birthday start last year. She just had another birthday and she started another birthday start. She's finished this one. This is called Anne Hughes, 1852, by Woodfield House, and it's by Quaint Rose Needle Arts. And there's the design. Like I said, Sarah has finished and fully finished hers, so you definitely want to go check that out on her channel. We are using all of the called for flosses. I have yet to break into this cottage garden thread. This is for the flower pots on either side of the house. I'm kind of saving that for later because it's such a fun floss. But the rest of the colors are Classic Color Works and Gentle Arts. I love this color palette. I love red. I love red houses. And this one does not disappoint. there's mine. So I have that big red house done. I have the flower pot done up top. So there's some birds over here. Like I said, there's those big flower pots over here. And down below, it says like Woodfield House and Ann Hughes, I think. Does it? Yeah. I might leave some of that off. So we'll see. I'm stitching mine on 40 count old stationery by Seraphim. And I think it turned out, or it's turning out so cute. It will turn out great when I finish it. So apparently I'm as bad at finishing Sarah's birthday starts as I am my own. I did not start her birthday start this year. It's gorgeous, but I have not had a new start since May, which is a new record for me. I didn't set out to do that. Like, I didn't say you're not starting anything new, but I've just really felt the itch to get my WIP count down. And so I've really been resisting new starts. I don't know how much longer I can resist, but I'm super proud of myself because I went to StitchCon recently and I went to Stitchtopia, which was hosted by Craft Gallery. I did not have a retreat new start. Who even am I? Keeping this in another Michelle Lee Quilts bag. Okay. Next, this was one that I copied Sarah. She was stitching this with another friend of hers, and I was like, I want to stitch that too. So I did. This is called Jack's House Pin Keep by Stacy Nash. Sarah has finished hers. I'm almost finished. Here we go. This down here was something I'd started and abandoned, so, but I was still able to use the fabric, which again is why I start in the top left. This was the top left of a different chart. I don't know what this fabric is. I have no idea, but I thought it was perfect for this stitch. I did pull the call for colors. There only calls for 3 colors, but I did add another color in. So it calls for these 3. Excuse me. Ginger Snap by Gentle Art, Roasted Marshmallow by Gentle Arts, and Picnic Basket, all by Gentle Arts. And in the pattern, the vines and the leaves and stuff, those are all like this brown color. And I didn't want mine to be brown, so I pulled in like this dark green called Spinach. It's very much a spinach color, like cooked spinach. And so I'm using that dark green for my vines and stuff. So I think it's looking really cute. I just have a little bit to finish over here, and of course that house, and then I'm done. So this will be a quick finish when I pick this back up. Cute. I love Stacy Nash. You might notice from my stitching here, like Stacy Nash is one of my favorite designers. I love her stuff. I love the blue flower. Yeah. This is in a Painted Leaf Co bag. So cute. I love the cats and the pumpkins. Another vinyl front. Okay, this one I got at Stitch Away. And yeah, in 2024. Sorry, I don't know why I'm losing my mind as far as the dates. So Stitch Away is hosted every January by Keepsakes, and every year they have like a secret designer, guest designer. And then last year it was Summer House Stitchworks. And this was the piece she had designed for the retreat called My Blue Heaven. I do believe it is available to everyone now. But here it is. That's mine. So, almost halfway. I think it's so pretty. It's not a very big color palette. I guess there's like, oh, I don't know. There's a few on here. But there's my colors. It's All Weeks Dye Works. And I'm working on that house there. The border is very intricate, but it's very fun to stitch. So I can't wait to get back to that one. And there are some specialty stitches in here. The roof is all satin stitches. I know like in like the flowers down by the fence and stuff, those are all specialty stitches. There's some like specialty stitches on the windows. So I'm looking forward to putting in those details as I go. I usually save specialty stitches and back stitching for last. So that'll be something that I go back and do after I finish all of the regular stitching. And I'm keeping this in another Painted Leaf Co. bag with this Teresa Kogut fabric that I thought really coordinated with the design. Let me not forget my floss. This fabric here. Okay. This one was my Mother's Day start last year. Did I do a Mother's Day start this year? I can't remember. I'll figure it out when I get to 2025. But last year I started Home Sweet Home by Shakespeare's Peddler. I did purchase the little buttons that go on the design. I think there's another one somewhere. Oh, it's like this flower here. I'm not wearing my glasses, so I'm having a little bit of a hard time seeing some things. Here we are. I have the roof. This is 40 count Moonstone fiber on a whim. I believe this is the same fabric that I was stitching the chickens on, the Merry Autumn Pin Keep. So that's my start. I want to get back to it. I think I might change some colors. I do like stitching with purple, but this word sweet is in that purpley color, and I don't know if I like that for this design, so I might change that. But I am using all of the called for colors. I think it's called for in overdyes, but I'm using all the DMC except for one of the called for Gentle Arts. The rest is all DMC. The called for DMCs. So there's that. And of course I wanted to keep my Home Sweet Home pattern in my little Home Sweet Home bag from Painted Leaf Co. I almost forgot to put my floss in here. You can tell I'm getting a little tired because I'm getting a little forgetful about some things. So far I haven't messed up, so just keep it up. Okay, next I have Wee Santa 2024. He's so cute. I love this snowman's striped stockings there. I haven't gotten to him yet, but here's my start. Oh, sorry, there's some dog hairs on here. There's probably been dog hairs on a lot of things I've shown you. That's just how I roll. This is on 46 count Silver Fox by Fiber on a Whim. I'm using all the called for colors, some of the called for overdyes and the rest in the called for DMCs. And that's what I've got so far. I love his red glasses. I usually do back stitching last, but I had to get those glasses on his face because that's just too cute. So can't wait to pull him out and work on him a little bit more. I did work on him a little bit the other day, put a little more stitches into his coat. I'm keeping this in a project bag from Pepper Pot Shop in this fun reindeer fabric. Okay. I love how they have little Christmas ornaments hanging from their antlers. Cute. Another I started a lot of Christmas last year. I was in the Christmas spirit, I guess. This one, oh, I've been wanting to start this one for a while. This is Christmas at Hollyberry Farm by Stacey Nash. I think a lot of people have started this one too. Sarah is also stitching this. I'm stitching mine on a 40 count Coffee Stain by Cedar River Linen. And I'm using all the called for colors. I take that back. I think I switched a couple of colors. Oh, I did switch a few. I just wanted my colors to be a little more vibrant. So here's the cover page again. Especially on darker fabric, I feel like some of those colors are a little ghosty. And so I know I switched the green. Did I switch the red? Yeah, I switched the red from Gentle Arts Mulberry to Buckeye Scarlet, which is a brighter red. So I am brightening up some of those colors because I really want them to stand out on my fabric. And I like it so far. So keep going with that. Not a whole lot started on that. But I think that's going to be pretty. I cannot wait to stitch that big white house and this girl in her red dress. Oh, that's going to be so good. I'm keeping this in a project folder from Winding Rainbows. Super cute. Next, another Stacy Nash. I picked this up last summer when my friends and I went to Craft Gallery. I had never seen this pattern before, and I saw it when I was there, and I had to have it. So this is called Eliza Pool Sampler. I love the ship. And so I'm stitching mine on 40 count Winter Wren by Fox and Rabbit, and I think I've changed several of the colors. So I'm using a mix of Roxy Floss, Classic Colorworks, and Gentle Arts, and I have one DMC. So I think I fooled around with the color palette a little on this one too. Again, like the vines and the leaves were in kind of like a brownish color, and I wanted mine to be green. So I think I stayed pretty true, well, except for the brown. I think I stayed pretty true to the original, just making some small changes here and there as I see fit. And, you know, with this color of fabric being darker than what's on the model, you know, sometimes you do need to make those color changes. So, again, not quite ready to share my color conversion because when I do a color conversion, I kind of change things as I go along, and it's not always like a one-to-one, whereas like, you know, if it's this color in the pattern, then I'm using this color instead. Sometimes I, you know, go back and forth. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. And I'm keeping this in a special bag that my mom made for me for my birthday last year, in this adorable Tula pink fabric that has dogs on it, because I'm a dog lover. So this fabric has nothing to do with the design inside, but I just wanted a special bag for my special stitch. So, oh, this one has a teeny tiny start. This is a design that I was gifted. Hold on one second, let me find it. Here we are. It's called the Whimsy Christmas Biscornu from Starlight Stitching Co. This is her design. So it's a Christmas Biscornu. And I just have a tiny start on mine. Sarah stitched it as well. She finished hers. She's like a maniac when it comes to doing Biscornus. She's really good at them. Here's my tiny little start. Starting on the top of the Biscornu. I am using, I don't know what this fabric is, if I'm being quite honest. I have written down that it's 40 count Spice Blend Splash by S&S. I have no idea who S&S is as a dyer. I think I wrote something wrong. I don't know. That's what I have though. I'm using the called for DMCs. They're so pretty. So looking forward to getting that one back out and working on it some more and making myself a cute little Biscornu. I know I've made one Biscornu. I did a Halloween one last year from the Blue Flower. I don't think I've stitched any other Biscornus though. I think that was my one and only. So this will be my second. Keeping this in a cute Michelle Lee. Is this Michelle Lee Quilts? I think it is. This one doesn't have a tag either, but I think this is another Michelle Lee Quilts. Sometimes I can tell by the quilting on them because some people stitch like, you know, along the lines, and she always has like different designs. I'm sure there's a technical term for all of that, but. All right, my last 2024 WIP, and then we'll get into 2025. I have a lot less 2025. This is called the Modern Botanical Wedding Sampler. I'm stitching this for my husband and I. I showed in a video, I think last August, that these flowers look very much like my wedding bouquet when we got married back in 2007. And also in my wedding bouquet, I had monarch butterflies, like not real ones, like fake ones. And so this one has monarch butterflies. I know there's one here, there's one over here. We had incorporated those into our wedding theme because my husband had lost a dear family member around that time. So I just thought this was just for us because it just was just like my bouquet and so much like the colors of my wedding. So of course I'll change the initials and the date. But I haven't made a whole lot of progress on this. I was hoping to get this done by our 20th wedding anniversary. We'll be celebrating year number 18 this year, so I need to get going on this. But here's what I have. I'm stitching this on 40 count Friendship Green by Fabrics by Stephanie. I chose this fabric because it's very much like the color of my bridesmaids dresses. So it's kind of showing up darker on the camera, but I think the colors are going to look great on it. Here's the color palette. There is this one orange, like it is bright. I don't know if this one's going to stay in the color palette. Might find a color that's just a tone not as bright than this, but other than that, I think the color palette is fantastic. And maybe I'll get to that part and it'll just be perfect for that part. So I'm not going to discount it yet, but that's my start. Okay, let's get into 2025. Whew. If you have stuck with me this long, you're amazing. Thank you. Let me get the floss here. I'm keeping this in a bag that I got from Wildberry Stitching. Love her bags. Another cute patchwork bag. This one has chickens on it. So many chickens. All right, 2025, let's do this. Okay, let me move this over a little bit. All right, the first one I have to show you here is from Stacy Nash, another Stacy Nash. This was a release this year. Here it is. This is called the, oh, don't want to show you the pattern. This is called Rose Hill Farm Sampler. This is another one I'm stitching with Sarah and stitching with our friend Michelle. Here's mine. I'm stitching this on 40 count Dead Sea Scroll. Let me turn this over. By Seraphim Fabrics. And that's where I'm at. I love it. I had to do that red barn first. I'm not usually a middle starter, but for this one, I was. I had to get started with that red barn, and I think it looks so good. I did bring this with me to the retreat I just went to, and while I was there, I stitched these 2 rows of the alphabet. So I can't wait to get back to that. So pretty. I am stitching it with all the called for colors, which looks like all Weeks Dye Works. So pretty. I was a little concerned because the color of the barn is this Lancaster red. And I'm like, that's not very bright, because in this picture, that red house is bright. But when I started stitching, I was like, okay, yeah, this looks good. I think when it's next to that, you know, white, which I think is Arrowhead, it makes the red pop even more. So, you know, sometimes you just gotta, even when I look at a color and I think, I'm not sure if that's gonna work, I do try to go with it first because I figured the designer knows what they're doing. And then if it just doesn't work on my fabric, then I will go back and change it. But I'm glad I didn't change that one because it looks great. Keeping this in another Michelle Lee Quilts bag. So cute. All right, next, this was a recent start. I think I started this on Valentine's Day this year, if I'm not mistaken. And Sarah started this with me. And also, I found out when I was at StitchCon that a couple of other ladies, Edith and Jean, are also stitching this. And so we've been sharing our progress. So this is Birds of a Feather Happy Heart Sampler. Sherry from Colorado Cross Stitcher, she has been recharting the Birds of a Feather patterns because they were out of print. And so I love that she's recharting these because I really wanted to stitch this. And there was another one called Sally Spencer that I want to stitch. I haven't started it yet, but this is the Happy Hearts sampler. Here's mine. I'm stitching mine on, this is another Roxy Flossco fabric of the month. It's called Cove. I got this in January. I love it. And I'm using all the called for colors, which looks like they are all Weeks Dye Works. I think I've got one DMC in here, probably because I just didn't have the Weeks Dye Works in stash, but here's the colors. I think it looks great so far. There are some opportunities for personalization in here. So like I put my initial, my husband's initial here, our initial of our last name. We have 3 children, so I put their first initials here. I love that there are the 3 initials and 3 flowers. So I'm enjoying personalizing that as I go along. So very cool. If you ever watch Sarah W, she's a color completer. So when she stitches a pattern, she likes to start with a color, get all of that color in, and then move on to the next color, which is what she's done with this one. So it's really fun for us to compare our progress on this one because they look very different. All right, and this is the bag I'm keeping it in. Also another Michelle Lee Quilts bag. I love that Michelle Lee Quilts is my friend. She's so nice. And her bags are amazing. Okay. This next one was a recent start. I just started this in May. I saw it on someone's Instagram. I was like, wow, I really want to stitch that. That looks so cool. It's another Alice in Wonderland pattern, which you saw my other one before. This one is from... This one is from Gara. I think that's how you say that. She's a Japanese designer. I bought this as a PDF. It's called Alice Meets the Caterpillar. It is so cute. Sorry for the glare. And I'm stitching it with all the called for DMC. It's looking fantastic. I'll just hold it up. Here we go. Oh, it's so cute. I loved stitching that mushroom so much. I love the colors. I'm using all the called for DMCs. And the fabric that I'm stitching this on is a 46 count Fall in Jazz by Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers. It's perfect for this. So I'm looking forward to it. I've got like a couple other little mushroom plant type things and some more plants over here. And then the caterpillar is up top. And he's blowing smoke, and in the smoke it says, "Who are you?" I'm going to save that caterpillar for last because he looks really fun to stitch. Here's the design again. So cute. Oh, those colors. I'm keeping this in a very fun bag I just got recently from Isabella Sews. She's on Instagram and Etsy. So colorful. I love that she uses the rainbow zippers. Look at the back. It's so pretty. Okay. Next, I started, oh wait, maybe I started this one on Valentine's Day. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Oh, I did start this on Valentine's Day. Anyway, this is called The Scarlet House. Or excuse me, it's called Entwined Hearts. It's by The Scarlet House. I have this kitted up for like a couple of years, and I have finally started it. I'm stitching it on the called for fabric, which is Aztec Red. I got mine in 40 count. Aztec Red by Weeks Dye Works, and I'm using the called for Classic Colorworks Belle Soise. And that's where I'm at. So I was plugging away, and then I got up to this alphabet with this white stitching, and I'm not liking how my letters are looking. I'm sure they're fine, but you know, I get to a certain point and I'm like, that doesn't look good. And then I put it down because I was plugging away on this, but I'll get back to it. It's very cute. I love it. I want to get it done. Also, I put the year in already, so I kind of have to. I put, there it is, 2025. The pressure is on. I mean, I could tear that out and put a different date in, but we'll see. I'm keeping this in a bag from Painted Leaf Co. It has this beautiful Teresa Kogut fabric on it. Thought the colors and the hearts on this matched my design, so very cute. All right, next, this was a recent start too. I think I started this one in May also. I don't know, I have my card. Anyway, this is called Mary Bovey Sampler. I'd had this one in my stash for a couple of years as well. And recently, Nicole Spohr and Holly from Mrs. Jones Stitches, they started a stitch along for this. And so I thought, well, that's a great opportunity to pull mine out and get started too. Sarah also started it. And here's my start. I'm stitching mine on 40 count old linen by XU Designs. I'm using mostly the called for colors. I think I did change a couple. I changed the green here to Weeks Dye Works Bullfrog, I think. But for the most part, I think I'm keeping all the same colors. I think I just changed that to green. It was another one of those where like the colors and the vines and the leaves were kind of brownish. So I just wanted to change it to green. But I think it's looking great so far. I like to get down, again, I always start in the top left, so it's usually border and alphabets when I really want to get down to the fun stuff. So I think I should just keep making my way down so I can stitch some other stuff. I think that kind of stalls me out sometimes. I'm keeping this in a bag that I got from Bella Rose Needleworks. Very pretty. All right, getting down to the bottom here. This one was a market release. A lot of people are stitching it, have stitched it. This is A Daily Reminder by With Thy Needle and Thread. Sarah and I started this together. We were very inspired by Holly, Mrs. Jones Stitches color conversion. She does some really great classic Colorworks color conversions. And so we wanted to do the same thing. We did run into some problems where some of the floss she chose was not available or was sold out, and so we had to kind of make some other decisions. But I think our colors are pretty close to what she did, which means I've got like a bright pink house there. I'm stitching mine on the called for fabric, which is 40 count Arboreal by Cedar River Linens, I believe. And here's my colors. So we're using mostly Holly's color palette, like I said, with a couple of our own substitutes. So if you want that color conversion, you should go to Holly's Instagram. But that's where I'm at so far. I did choose, the windows have curtains. I did choose to leave the curtains off because my curtains were blending into the color of the window panes. And so I just decided that my house doesn't have curtains. So, so that's where I'm at with that. There are a couple things that I'm considering as I go along. The border here is all like satin stitches and the alphabet is all Smyrna crosses. So I'm not looking forward to that border for sure. I may leave the border off, and I don't really know if I want to do a whole alphabet and Smyrna crosses, so I might do those in regular cross stitches. I don't know. I've got some time till I get there, which is why I started in the middle with this one too, because I didn't want to have to make those decisions right off the bat. And like I said, I usually save specialty stitches for last. So if I am going to do those are going to be last. I'm keeping this in this Buckleberry Quilts bag that I thought coordinated with the colors. Almost forgot to put my floss in here. Okay. Next, this is a pattern that Sarah gave me for my birthday this year. My birthday's in October. It's called Birds of a Feather Needle Book by Stacy Nash. So you have to stitch like two parts. So this is the front, this is the back. And then on the inside, you stitch that as well. So those are the two on the inside. You can see the little bird is holding the needle. He's got some floss there. So that's what that looks like. She sent me fabric for this as well, which, where is it? My fabric is 40 count platinum. There it is. And she sent me all the called for flosses on this adorable little floss thing. It's so cute. It has an S for Sarah. So I've stitched the front. So now I have 3 more parts to stitch. And it stitches up really easy and quick because it's just a small. So I need to get back to this. I'm keeping this in a bag. I got these bags for Sarah and I for Christmas. They're not exactly alike because these bags are made from the selvages of different fabrics. Let me show it to you. Hold on. I put this in here. Our bags are from Isabella Sews. And so here's mine. I love the size of this. This is the perfect size. Again, she uses the rainbow zippers and it's got a front pouch too. And Sarah got us these cute little S's. They were just plain wood, and so we painted ours pink to match, and it's so cute. All right, I think I have just a couple more. This next one is a series of ornaments. I'm in this club through Crazy Annie's Stitchin', and it's a Nutcracker ornament series from Annie B's Folk Art. And so I think there's 12 altogether. I've got 6 so far, which would make sense. I don't know why, but my Siri is on my iPad here. But I started with the first one. So it's the Nutcracker Forever series. And number 1 is Marie. Number 2 is Nutcracker. Number 3 is Uncle Drosselmeyer. Number 4 is the Mouse King. He's so cute. Not scary at all. Number 4 are the Snowflakes. And then number 5 is Spanish Hot Chocolate. I have a Nutcracker thing. I collect Nutcrackers. I love stitching Nutcracker. My daughter Maggie, when she was young, she performed with the Cincinnati Ballet in their yearly performance of the Nutcracker. She was a cupcake, and they pranced around the Sugar Plum Fairy. So I have very fond thoughts and memories about the Nutcracker. But I started with number 1 here, which is Marie. They're meant to be stitched on perforated paper, and I really dislike perforated paper. I don't like stitching on it at all. I started to stitch on it and I just could not. So I decided I'm stitching all of mine on this 40 count Vintage Country Mocha. And with the club, you also get these wooden ornament backers from Chantel's 141 Design Company. They don't come painted. You have to paint them yourself. So I'm sure my design's going to be smaller than this because I believe that's 14 count perforated paper. So I'll probably have to, when I attach it on there, probably put like a fabric background behind it to kind of take up some of that empty space. But that's my start. It's going to be a quick stitch. I mean, they're very small. They're only, what's the stitch count? 41 by 57. So they shouldn't take me too long to stitch up, just using the called for DMCs. Keeping it in this cute bag from WIP It Up. WIP It Up, yeah. These ladies reading in their windowsills, very cute. So again, I'm a very seasonal stitcher, so probably won't get to these till close to Christmas. So I probably won't finish them this year, but that's okay. I'll finish them as they go. All right. You know, I had the grand illusion that I was going to do one a month. I should know myself better than that. Okay. This next one, it's actually 2. So I have 2 projects on the same piece of fabric. Let's start with this one. This is the Spring Sampler Fragment by Shakespeare's Peddler. This came out this year at Market. And also Hope by Shakespeare's Peddler, which was another one that came out at Market. So I'm stitching them both on the same fabric because they call for the same fabric, which is Dark Soil by XJU Design. I'm using a 40 count. So there's the Spring Sampler Fragment for both. I'm using the called for colors, which look like a mix of like Weeks Dye Works, Classic Color Works, and Gentle Arts. So here's the color palette for this one. It's looking so pretty so far. Gorgeous. And then here's this one. Oh, I love how the red pops on that so much. I am using all the called for colors. Here's this color palette. I love it. So there's that. I love stitching on those, but being on the darker fabric, I have to stitch on them in the daytime because I cannot see it at night. I don't usually use like a light or anything, so those are just daytime stitches. Okay, I'm down to my last one. Can you believe it? I cannot believe this video is so long. I'm so sorry. I'm trying. Okay, can you imagine if I had more WIPs than this? This next one is from a magazine. It's from the Just Cross Stitch magazine. Sorry, I've got like dog hair on my iPad here. So I only have the PDF. This is called Nature's Journey by Sprouting Lupine, not sure. And it's a 4 seasonal stitch. So this is spring and summer is out as well, but I'm starting with spring. And so that's what spring looks like. It is all charted in DMC. Sarah's stitching this with me as well. We're both using the called for fabric, which is Into the Veil by Bee Stitch Me. Mine's a 46 count. And here's what I've got so far. Oh, it's so pretty. Here are the colors. Oh, so good. Look how pretty. But that's what I've got so far. I'm looking forward to moving down and making my way to, like, there's like a little bird's nest down here, and there's a snail. It's just so pretty. I love this fabric. So there's that. I'm hoping to get spring done soon so I can start on summer and then maybe be ready for fall, but we'll see. I'm keeping this in another Painted Leaf Co. bag. You might recognize this fabric because you saw it before. With the owls, remember I was keeping my 100 owls in a bag with the same fabric. So my mom had made these bags, vinyl front bags, back in the day with this fabric, but the print on it was much bigger. And since it was such a popular bag and people, you know, have seen me use that other one on my Flosstube, they've asked her, like, are you going to make any more of those? So she did get more of this fabric and made more of these bags. And it's so good. I thought this was perfect for my Nature's Journey. So there we go. 54 WIPs in 2 hours. I hope you enjoyed watching today. I hope that if you're not subscribed, that you will consider subscribing to my channel. I hope you enjoyed your time with me today. I hope you'll come back and see me again. I look forward to doing another regular Flosstube update soon. And again, just thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And I hope I'll see you again soon.